Hello, bridge builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at eatlunchandboardgame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game, the first course today. And thank you for supporting the show. You never know what may happen when you answer a simple question posted on a Facebook group, or who might have posted the question. That is the case with this episode's guest, Krista DiGloria. She's the moderator for the Facebook group Board Game Revolution Community. I simply answered her question about tile-laying games that I like, and we struck up a conversation from there. Turns out we have a lot in common, like we both have significant others that think we might have too many board games? No, we just don't have enough shelf space. Thanks for listening. Back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and with me today is a face group moderator for the group Board Game Revolution Committee, Krista DiGloria. Krista, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Trying to figure out how hot is and when we're finally going to be done with the heat, but I think we're just stepping into the 100 plus for a little while.
Yeah, it was hot here today, upper 90s, so I'm with you.
It's always good when you can walk outside and your clothes just stick to you right away.
You could call it good. I call it terrible, but yeah.
Unless you live in the Pacific Northwest, which, I'm not. I think that's pretty much just summer lately.
Pretty much, yep.
So what do you do for the gaming community?
So I am a moderator on, as you mentioned, the Board Game Revolution Community Facebook group. I'm technically the community engagement leader. So my job is to kind of come up with thematic weeks, try to find ways to engage our community, talk a little bit about contests, just get people talking about board gaming, make everybody feel kind of welcome. In my own board gaming community, I am typically the researcher of the games and the teacher. That's usually what I do.
Well, that is a very important position.
We all know that you need someone good to teach you your games or no one's going to want to play. So that's usually my job.
Hey, you know what? It's also important to do the research and find the right games for the right group. You know your group, so you don't want to pick a game that they're not going to like.
Yeah, I think that we've all gone through that. We've found this game. Oh, this looks interesting. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to spend my $60 on it. And then you bring it to the table. Nobody likes it. So I would rather buy a game that everyone's going to play, even if it's not going to be my personal favorite, but as long as everyone's going to get along and play.
No, I totally agree. My gaming group that I game with most right now due to COVID and not having my usual gaming groups, they're really, really big on these heavy engine builders. And that's just not my game. And part of it is they've been playing these forever. And so they know the game. So to them, it's about building the engine as fast and as efficiently as possible. For me, it's like, what am I doing?
It's just figuring out the rules.
Do I want to put? Oh, don't put that there! Oh my gosh, that would be terrible. Like, yeah. Obviously. Does this go anywhere? Does it just go back to my? But they're also a good group of guys though that I can bring random games that I'm playtesting for other people. And they'll give anything a whirl. But man, those heavy engine building games, I just discovered those aren't my thing.
Yeah, there's certain types of games I don't really like either. I won't play a lot of like area control, area majority kind of stuff, dudes on a map, things like that. I won't play those kinds of games. But I figured out that whatever's going to make my partner happy, because I do the majority of my game playing at 2, that's what we're going to buy. That's what we're going to play. So that tends to be kind of like light to medium tile and laying kind of games, puzzly games, abstracts, things like that.
Yeah. So, I game a lot at 2. I have a 10-year-old. He's my number one opponent. And I pick a lot of games based on whether or not he can play it. obviously he's got a weird dad, so he's been playing games for a long time. So he plays well above 10-year-old, but I've also discovered anything that's chess related. Anything that can be related to chess, I don't stand a chance. Um, so we get these weird games. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I start playing. I'm like, oh, this is just a variation of chess, and he just wipes the board with me. So
Yeah.
but that,
Santorini,
oh,
tack,
I
go.
love I love Santorini, and we have to play with the god cards so that I have at least a chance. The
Yeah.
special power gives me just that little bit of hope that I can I can pull this game off.
Listen, we all have those games that, I mean, I don't know about you. We track our win percentages, and there's always like certain games that I'm like, if I need a win, if I've gone on a losing streak, I'm picking that game because I know I'm going to win.
Yeah, we track ours using the BG Stats app on our phone.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, it's a great use of money and time, and but it does make some interesting things when you look back on it. Like we play a lot of the Ticket to Ride the cities, so you have like the London, New York, and Amsterdam. They all like Amsterdam by far is like 10 points lower average than the other two.
Wow.
And it's like, but why is that interesting? I don't know why it's interesting. It just is, and it's in my phone. My app tells me that, so I'm like, hey, it's
I
interesting.
know. I love those insights. I love all the like
Yeah.
detailed things that you can see from it. I'm such a nerd for that stuff. Like, some people are just like, we play board games. And I'm like, I put my collection into an app and check it all the time to see how many times we're playing each game.
Oh yeah, yeah. What is your number one played game? You know?
Um, my number one played game is a game called Q-less, which I play separately. I play solo. It's a Scrabble based dice game. There's 11 dice. You roll them, and then you have to put them together like Scrabble to make words. And I play that by myself. But games that I play together with other people. Let's see what my highest played game of all time is. I think I know what it is. It's Calico. It's Calico with 47 plays, and which is crazy because like I have games that I've had in my collection for much longer than Calico that I used to play a lot. That it's just like that's our go-to game now. So whenever it's like we're chilling and we just want a game after after work or after dinner, that's what we're gonna play. So I think I got it in like late 2019, and we've played it 47 times. So.
Well, what's funny is I didn't get the app until years into gaming. And I haven't played as much Catan as I used to play. Which, let me step back. How do you say it? The Settlers of
Catan.
Catan. Okay. Well, yeah. I hope
that's
I didn't.
The right way. I see your shirt. I see the shirt that you're wearing. I know the podcast listeners can't see it, but I do. Yeah. And I knew you had a very strong opinion on this.
Well, I hope I didn't sway you in any way to.
No, that's definitely how I say it. I can't imagine saying it. I assume people say Catan.
Catan. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I've had a few people on from England who say Catan, and I'm debating whether or not that's correct with an accent. So that's what I tell them. So
yeah, it's the dialect is the dialect from our friends across the pond. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my number one game would be Catan, and Carcassonne, and King of Tokyo would be by far up in the hundreds each, even Seven Wonders. But when I started tracking in my phone, those games are kind of on their decline. And so my number one game is actually a 2-player game called Cock and Bull. It is a bar game that my son and I have played 49 times.
Nice. Not at the bar, I presume. I hope the 10-year-old's not going to the bar.
Not yet. Yeah, then it's Millborn, which is a game that just shot straight up the list. Like you're saying, you find a game, you get in a groove, and when you can't stop playing a game, it'll climb that ladder real fast on you.
Definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Calico's fun. I've only played it once, so it's been I don't even know what's time anymore, right?
What is time? Yeah. The pandemic, I think, did that to us. So.
Yeah, it was definitely pre-pandemic when I played it, which would have been, late 2019 probably.
That's when it came out, yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably when I played it was when the game shop got it or something, or the game night I went to was like, hey, just try this new game. I'm like, okay, and then I haven't played it since. So, how long have you been gaming? How did you get into gaming?
So I played Magic: The Gathering when I was in college, very poorly. I would assume that we are like the worst possible players, but we had a good time with it, which would have been in like 2012 ish. And then we played some Catan, we played some Dominion right around that time. And I was like, I liked it and I was interested in it, but not enough to just, I was just out of college. I was getting my career going. I was like very worried about like what my future was going to be. I wasn't focusing on hobbies. And then I was in Target and I walked by and I saw Seven Wonders Duel on like an end cap. And I teach Ancient Civ. So I immediately was like, oh, that's interesting. I love Ancient Civ, So I was like, it's a 2-player game. Never heard of it. And went home, played it with my partner at the time, different from my partner now. And I won. She threw the board across the room. And I was immediately like, I need to do more research on games like this. And I found out there was like a subreddit for it on Reddit, and that there was this whole world of games that I did not know existed. I'm sure so many people have said that, before, how many people have heard this. And at the same time, one of my closest friends from college, separately from me, was getting into board games with her boyfriend. It just happened to happen to us at the same time. And we were like, okay, there's our gaming group. So for a while it was the 3 of us. And then I started dating my partner, now my fiance. And now it's like the 4 of us. And it just, I don't know, it spiraled from there. I mean, Gloomhaven was my first Kickstarter back. I skipped beginner games altogether. Like I skipped Carcassonne. I've never played Ticket to Ride. Like I've played Catan like 3 times. I just went right into like, I'm going to buy Gloomhaven and I'm going to play heavy games. Like year 1.
Yeah, Gloomhaven is definitely not the beginner game.
I don't know. I must have read about it on Reddit, and then I was like, what's this? And I found Richard Hamrado on YouTube doing a playthrough of it, and started watching like all of his stuff and being like, wow, like there's so many good games out there. And I didn't really know at the time like what I wanted to play. So a lot of games that I bought that I never really got into, and now I know better of what I like. But yeah, Gloomhaven, because I liked the idea of like, a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
Which I played a little bit, but again, not as much as I thought that I would, because I learned different styles of games that are better for me.
So are you active on Kickstarter?
So I started kickstarting right away in like 2017, 2018 when I got into it. And made a lot of misses, and then I kind of hit my stride knowing what I was looking for, and I get some things in, and I have recently in the last year gotten a lot of things in, but I'm actually kind of slowing down with just the price of games and shipping. It's just cheaper to buy it elsewhere. I hate to say that, but when money's tight, I'm saving for a wedding, and we're live in a house and all that stuff. It's kind of, you have to make choices, and for me, I'll just buy a game that's out there on retail that I know that is easily available, and there's good reviews out there from it, and they're legit. So
yeah, no, I get it. I kickstarted. I want to say 17. Oh, it was the first year I kickstarted, and then I didn't do a whole lot. And then I kind of got really rolling in it, and now I can't stop doing it. And I've stopped pretty good the last couple months, but I got backing in a lot of the P&P stuff because of the pandemic, and people were putting up like a $1 print and play, and you get then they make an insanely stupid amount of money. They like $20,000 print and play, and I'm like, this dude has no overhead. Like, he emails me a file. Like, there's no shipping. There's no, that guy, more power to him. But I was getting a lot of those, like 1 sheet, 2 sheet, whatever, print and plays. And really just kind of enjoying those for $2-3 at a shot. So, yeah, now a lot of the ones, like you said, that you backed a while ago are starting to show up now, because the shipping kind of unjammed and everything. And, last week, I think it was, I had 3 days in a row where one showed up, and I'm like, honey, I backed these a long time ago.
I have the same conversation with my fiance. I'm like, I swear I didn't buy these now. I was like, I purchased these so long ago. The big box of games that are coming in tomorrow, I did just buy, but the singular game that just came in, that was kickstarted months ago.
Yeah, no, the big box tomorrow, you won't see it. It
Yeah.
does not. This is not the box of games you're looking for.
And there's so many games on Kickstarter now that like I was really interested in Septima because I think like Mind Clash Games is awesome. Like I think I played Anachrony, like it's so good. But I look at the price and I'm like, I know this is going to be cheaper at retail, and I don't want to wait 18 months for it to come in. And it's just when you need money now and you don't want to put up the money now, it's a hard sell for me right now. And I feel bad because I think I'm more likely to back a small company that I know it's not going to go to retail, or I know that it's not, they need the money. But for bigger companies, at this point, I'll just wait for it to come to retail.
Yeah, I don't back CMON stuff. They don't need my money. There's a lot, like I don't back a lot of those big companies. They don't need my money.
No.
I'd rather spend my money on, Jim Bob in North Dakota who's got an idea for a game. And
yeah, I mean, this Q-less game that I found on TikTok is this old sweet man who gets the dice and puts them in the tins himself and ships them from his house in Tennessee. Like, it's just the cutest little thing. I don't know. Like, that's cute to me. I'll support you directly,
yeah, well, I had Chris Pinder on. He does the game of real life, which he makes himself, mounts on his own hand mounts them and everything on boards and stuff. I bought the shipping tube version, which literally came in a shipping tube with a sticker that says the game of real life. And you open it up and you pull out the boards there, printed on a real nice glossy piece of paper, and it's all hand packed and everything. And it's like, okay, here we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he sells them at like farmers markets and craft fairs and stuff out in, I'm going to get it wrong, but he's either in Washington or Oregon, one of the two, out there on the East Coast or West Coast.
A lot of people go to farmers markets there, so he's probably doing a really good business.
Oh yeah, yeah. I started selling mine at the farmers market here, and I've had pretty decent success.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong. So if where are you living right now? You're on the East Coast.
I live on the East Coast. Yeah, I live a little bit north of Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay. All right. So if I traveled out there and I came over, what game are you currently playing? What's your game right now?
Well,
other than Calico.
Yeah, so Calico is like, you're always going to see Calico on the table. We recently got, very recently, as in this week, big box of games came in with veggies.
Who knew that box was coming?
Not me, certainly. I didn't know one of them.
It shocked me.
This game called Veggies. It's just like a card patchwork game where you're like, overlaying, kind of like Circle the Wagons by, I forget the Button Shy. Yeah. And we love little things like that because we love to play in breweries. We love to play like at restaurants. So we played that. We've had Rolling Realms by Stonemaier Games on the table consistently, and Arc Nova. We don't play heavy games very often. Really, really hard to get to the table time-wise, but Arc Nova is phenomenal. Exactly what I'm looking for in like a heavy game. And we can play in under 2 hours for two people, which I guess is pretty good. They're saying it's supposed to be about an hour per player, and we're in about an hour and 45 minutes. So,
yeah, Arc Nova, I want to play it. I missed it when it was at Geekway because everybody kept having it checked out at the convention, and I didn't get a chance to play it. But yeah, that 1 hour per player, that's a lot. I usually play typically games that take an hour. So 90 minutes, no problem with a 90-minute game, but
yeah. We're typically like 30 minutes. Like we'll play 30-minute or less games. That's like typical for us. But like once a month, we'll play Arc Nova. Is it worth the cost? Probably not. But again, like FOMO is real, and everybody said the game was really good, and I liked the theme. So I was like, you know what, let's give it a try. And I was really surprised that my partner liked it because heavy games are not her forte. She doesn't like rules overhead. If you're losing her on the rules, she doesn't want to play. So we watched a video, and then I sat and taught it to her. And she actually really, really liked it. So
yeah,
that was nice.
There's a huge market for videos, and
I would say when sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just gonna say, like, I will hear about a game, do a little bit of research, and then I'll watch a video. And if the guy does or gal does a good video, you can get a good feel for the game. You can really make a good, educated decision whether or not this is going to be a game that you're going to like.
I'm big on that. I know some people value reviewers and things like that. I don't care about a reviewer's opinion of a game because I don't know whether your opinions line up with my preferences. So I want to watch a playthrough. So
Mm-hmm.
any channel that actually plays through minimum one turn or more, one round of a game, I'm going to watch that because that's going to tell me whether or not I'm going to enjoy the mechanics, and it's going to teach me how to play the game, like the beginnings of how to set up and play the game. And then I can look through the rule book and I can teach myself and teach others. So like I love Rado, I love Before You Play. There's a bunch of them out there now. I finally feel like more playthrough videos coming out. Whereas in the early days of YouTube, I felt like it was a lot more like Dice Tower-ish kind of stuff where it was just someone being like, this is a good game. Okay, but like, how does it play? you know?
Yeah. Or is it good because you like it, or is it good because, do I, like you said, do your opinions align with mine? Um, I do like a lot of the Dice Tower. A couple years ago, they did like 10 games better than. What a
Mm.
great series of videos. 10 games better than Monopoly. And it's like all these games, if you like Monopoly, you might like these games. And I'm like, I have a lot of those, but I don't have that one. Oh, well, let's see how much that is on eBay real quick. Which that game will be here next week. It's going to show up. I'm not going to know anything about it. Like,
You kickstarted
what?
it. It was
Yeah.
a pre-order.
Yeah. From 1990. Shh. Don't look at the date.
I think that's great. I love those things. That's why I like watching like lists of games because I'll do my own research, but that's where I hear about games. I'll make list on my phone, and then every couple of months I go through the list on my phone and start saying, okay, what do I actually want to buy? What do I not interested in?
Well,
I
it's
know.
funny because that's how I don't want to say we met, but how we started interacting was you just put up on your Facebook page like, what's your favorite tile laying game? And I'm like, everybody's listing like Carcassonne and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I really like Alhambra, which I think Alhambra being the tile laying game where you can't rotate the tile, that to me is why I love that game because you have the walking rule, right? But you can't rotate the tile. So then you buy it and then you're like, oh man, these walls don't go the way I need them to go. And it looked different when it was on the page, laying out there. And we had people when we would play it at work who would build his Alhambra in the direction that the tiles were sitting on the board, so that he could just take it and put it, so he didn't have to rotate it in his mind because he just couldn't do it. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I was like, and then of course I mentioned Fences, which is Bearded Board Games. That's my company, and that's our game. And it's just a fun little tile laying game about farming and trying to fence in animals. And then you and I talked for a little bit, and I'm like, hey, want to be on my podcast? Like, I haven't had a Facebook moderator before. Might as well,
Yeah, and thank you for having me. It's so
Oh, it's
exciting. I love talking about games. It's great.
well. That
Um,
was the other thing that made me laugh. You're like, you're like me. Like when my partner will be happy I'm talking to somebody else about board games, and I'm like, hey, my wife's happy I have a podcast, so she doesn't to hear about them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll buy games and I'll be like, and this one and this one. And she'll be like, I know, but you're going to tell me about it when we play. So maybe don't give me the rundown of the 10 games you just spent $300 on. But I always say, I could be addicted to something so much worse. Collecting is part of the draw for me, for sure. Like I've realized that about myself. I like to collect as well. Um, I have to tell you, I've never played Alhambra, and clearly I have to. I've heard of it. Didn't know it was a tile laying game. Clearly need to put it on my very
Oh
important
man,
research list.
yeah. So Alhambra, when I really got into board gaming, I started watching Will Wheaton's Tabletop, and so I was already familiar. He's like, there's the four pillars of German gaming. You have Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride, Catan, and Alhambra. And I'd had the other three, and I'm like, what the heck's Alhambra? So I watched the whole playthrough of Alhambra, and I'm like, oh, I want this game. And then Amazon had like the big box. So I'm a collector, and I love expansions. And so when they had the big box, which was like 1 through 5 expansions, on sale for like $50. I'm like, I'm all in on it. Um, oh yeah, and then we got it and started playing at the office, and people in the office started like buying up their own copies because it is a solid tile laying game with the scoring mechanics completely different than anything you like before it, and it's just there's something about having because you have to have the right color money and you have to have the right and then whoever goes first and it could screw you because you want this but now it's gone because it wasn't your turn and I'm telling you it's there that's a good one. Alhambra is a solid game.
I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. Sounds interesting. I love tile laying games, so
You're like what only like a 12-hour drive 14-hour drive.
just gonna
Okay.
show up and Alhambra will be on the table. There we go.
I can make that happen. I don't know where it is. It's probably downstairs. I'm upstairs. But yeah, Alhambra, definitely give that one a shot. But that's how I did a lot of research early on. Was watching all those old games on tabletop. And a lot of them I'd watch and be like, nope, that's not my kind of game. I don't have that. I don't have 4 hours to play a game. Man, I'm lucky if I get 30 minutes.
Yeah, 4 hours is. I'm never gonna play Twilight Imperium or anything like that.
I would
That's
love
not
to
for
play.
me.
I would love to play Twilight Imperium one time. One time. I just want to play it. And then I'll be done. It'll be like, 3 days later, and I'll be like, well,
Yeah.
crawl out of that house and be like, all right, I'm done.
10 hours later. Yeah, exactly.
Clear a weekend for it. So you are a teacher in your day job.
I sure am.
Do you play any games with your other teacher friends at in the teacher's lounge?
Honestly, we don't. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and any other teacher will tell you there's really no time to do that. My lunch is 30 minutes, but by the time I've gone to the bathroom, heat up my lunch, walked my kids down to lunch, and then I have to pick them up, my lunch is like maybe 22 minutes, and I have to eat. So some of my friends at work do game. Like I met a couple of kids, guys and a girl at work that will play games with us typically at my house. But that's out after work hours. During work hours, during lunch, I'm just like trying to get 10 minutes of silence before the screaming recommences. I wish that I honestly wish that our lunches were longer. Because that's a nice relaxing thing, especially like small games. You can definitely get a small game of something in 10, 15 minutes, but the time constraints, unfortunately, don't work.
No. My buddy's a history teacher. He lives outside Chicago, and we play during the school year. We'll play once or twice a week if we can clear a day where his lunch hour is open. Then we'll try to sneak in a roll and write real quick, so then we can knock out in 30 minutes or so.
That's doable, and the fact that he gets an hour for lunch is really really nice.
It's more like a 40-minute one. I think is what he gets is so.
Yeah.
We have to I log in at noon over Zoom, and we have till 12:30. So he's eating, I'm eating, I'm rolling my dice, he's rolling his dice, and we play a lot of the Clever series by Wolfgang Kramer. That's pretty
clever, really really good.
Yep, that exactly. So we play a lot of that, Quicks and Quinto and stuff like that. So we can do it real quick and be like, okay, I left you a yellow 1, an orange 2, and a purple 3. And then you like write it down, and then you're taking your dice and rolling them and stuff. So that's how we get through it.
That's fun.
So if you were able to play for 30 minutes, what's your go-to 30-minute game?
Well, I'm not going to say Calico again because I've already said it. But Cascadia is another one. I know that's kind of a new one, also a tile layer.
Ooh, yeah, that's fun.
We like Nova Luna. Forgetting about who it's by, of course, the maker of A Feast for Odin, but Rosenberg, Uwe. It's a lesser known title of his. It's really, really good. It has a little rondel mechanism to it, and you are drafting different color tiles to meet the requirements on the tile, and you have to get rid of 20 of your scoring discs, by meeting requirements. We really like puzzly stuff like that. Those ones I think are kind of the games that we're most likely to pull out. Roll-in Rights are also really popular. Trails of Tucana we really
Oh,
like recently.
that's a good one too. I like that one.
Rolling Realms I already mentioned.
Yeah.
Just Welcome to, we play Welcome
Oh,
to a lot.
I
It's
finally got
another
around
one
to
that's really
playing
high up
that.
for us. It's good. And
Yeah, one of my best friends, he's like, you got to play this game. And then it was on sale somewhere. I bought it like 2 or 3 of the expansions. They all
yeah,
showed up in a. Now, that wasn't a very big box because the game's pretty small. But
it is a tiny game.
but it showed up, and it probably sat around for months before I learned how to play it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, why did this game sit around for months? This game is amazing. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that one. Cascadia is one I just picked. I just played a Geekwave for the first time, and man, that is a thinker. That is a great, like you said, puzzly game. That there's a lot going on there. Like, do I want the bear? Do I take the bear? Or do I take? But I really need that tile. But I need this token, and I don't have the ability to take one of each right now.
Yeah.
So that's stupid.
I just love games that are very simple but crunchy underneath. Like, I
Yep.
want my rules overhead very small, but my decision making space and my crunchiness level high. Any type of game that's going to do that, even if it, like Cascadia, is kind of similar to Calico in a lot of ways, like it plays
Yep.
kind of similarly, I don't care. I will play both of those. I've actually almost bought Overboss, even though Overboss and Cascadia do almost the exact same thing. It's almost the same exact game. It's just different thematically. I haven't bought it, but I've considered it.
Your partner just wrote that down. Look for Overboss to hit the shelf after I come home. Yeah, so that brings up a funny story. Like, I would buy games and ship them to work, and then bring them home, and then my son would see them on the shelf, like, "Hey, when'd you get this game, Dad?" Man, buddy, shh, just man, come on, dude, be quiet. Let me get through this, man. So, if you were playing a full hour, a 60-minute game,
Um, we're probably going to play 30 minutes back to back. But if we have to play one game in 60 minutes, we'll play like a Wingspan, like an Everdell, type game. If I'm playing solo, which I do occasionally, I'll play a Feast for Odin, which is my favorite game of all time. Can't play that in an hour with 2 people. We can't.
you can get it in an hour by yourself. I'm impressed.
Yeah, definitely. I can do it in about 45 minutes. That's a great game. But yeah, I mean, recently we've got most of the games that I buy now are games that I think can be done in 30 to 45 minutes. I just don't have a lot of those. Like something like Terraforming Mars at 2 players for us, we could probably do in an hour. I know that my friends play Terraforming Mars a lot and their games last 2 hours because they don't understand that the game is a race to the end.
Well, that's one of the games that I told you at the beginning with like the engine building. Like, I've never really grasped what the hell I'm doing in Terraforming Mars. All I know is I'm losing, and I just want the game to be over so that
Yeah.
we can do something else. But I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I just keep trying to get like the temperature up or the
Yes.
oxygen level up just because I know the game will end faster that way. But
Well, you're supposed to, like a good player, I think, can, if someone is trying to elongate the game to get a higher score, which is what my 2 friends do constantly, I think that they could be beaten by somebody who could quickly make the end of the game come, but I'm not skilled enough as a player in that game to do it. I know how to play and I know the mechanics of the game, but Terraforming Mars is like in my top 5 most played games, but most of those games are solo because I played Terraforming Mars solo a lot when I first started gaming because I couldn't get anybody to play it with me because it's a heavier game with a lot of decisions.
I just don't I understand the theme, I don't understand the mechanics, and I don't like, if I could just figure out how to make things work together in that game, I feel like I'd really like it. But it's stepping beyond that. Like, that would be like the limit of my you know my
It's
game.
It's definitely a game where the more you play, the easier it is because you know the cards. So
Well,
once you know
yes.
the cards that are going to come, you know how to build on them. And Ark Nova is kind of like that too. Ark Nova and Terraforming Mars are similar in that way, where like the more you know the cards, the more that the game comes to you because I can play this kind of strategy.
So earlier you mentioned Button Shy Games, which is one of my favorite companies out there. What is your favorite Button Shy game? No, I apologize. That was not on my list of questions I sent you ahead of time.
I really like Food Chain Island because I play solo. Those wallet games I play solo often. I also like Sprawlopolis. I have a
Oh,
couple others. I have Skulls of Sedlec that I know doesn't play just solo,
it
but I
does.
want to
It
learn.
does.
It,
Yeah.
it plays two player as well, though. I like it's not
Yeah.
just a solo game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've only played it solo once because my son and I will play it all the time with all the expansions and
I
adding the
have
different skulls. Oh.
Yeah, I backed it on Kickstarter actually when it came out with the expansions, and so I have those. I just got them recently. I want to learn that one, and
Oh
I
yeah.
actually just pulled out Circle the Wagons because we've
Oh
been playing these card patching games, similar to Veggies, which I was talking about before. So I want to try that one because we like Rondell kind of. It has a little bit of a Rondell feature in it, I guess. So I pulled that out to learn how to play that. Maybe we'll play that tomorrow after dinner
yeah.
if we have time.
Schools of Sedlick is a lot of fun.
I've heard great things about it.
Oh my
Every
goodness.
single time they do a Kickstarter, every single time they release a game, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then I regret not backing it. Like Rove recently came out, and now I'm like, Rove looks awesome.
Same designer as Schools of
Yeah,
Sedlick,
yeah.
Dustin Dobson. Yeah. Rove, I'm terrible at. I'm awful at Rove. The Schools of Sedlick, yeah, and they don't have any. They have a reprint running right now on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I backed the last two that they just put out. I love them. I usually just back them at the $3 print and play level, and then just print them off. I got a whole card box just full of the 18 card games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my go to though is Universal Rule. Um, it is a 4X game packed into 18 cards, and they actually 17 because the 18th card is like the bonus card. So you only have 17 planets, and the mechanics of the game force the ending to happen. Like you can't elongate it, and because if anybody tries to like put a bunch of points up, then they consume a lot of one thing so you have to attack them. And I have all of it, and I love it. My crew at my old office, man, we played that game to death because it's just you can't help it. It's so much fun.
I think it's crazy, like from a design standpoint, to design a game that is so effective and so good with 18 cards. It's mind blowing to me when I play these games. I'm like, oh my God. Like the way that your brain has to work because a lot of board games are big and they're sprawling and there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of pieces because that's what Kickstarter is. That's what Kickstarter has created, like these deluxeified. And then you have on the opposite side, Button Shy, who's like, no, we're just releasing 18 card games. You get a little wallet. Congratulations. We
Yeah,
shipped it to you in an envelope. Literally like a postage envelope.
the smallest, yeah, the smallest pad of envelope you've ever seen, and it is bloop, like, well, I know that's my Button Shy order.
Yep.
Yeah, they had that, and then what's their Enthalion is another good one. That's a push pull 2-player. Avignon is a great 2-player game. That's another one of my favorites. As soon as you said Button Shy, I'm like, ooh, what's your favorite Button Shy? Because I don't own them all. I do have Food Chain Island. That's a solo game by itself. Like, I think it's just a solo game, right?
It's solo only. Yeah. I have Ugly Griffin Inn, which I think is solo only too. I like that. I have Tussie Mussy, which I want to try because that's by Elizabeth Hargraves, I believe,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Before she did Wingspan. So I just admire like the idea of a woman designer because there's
Yep.
not as many of them. But I haven't tried it yet. I own that one as well.
Hussy Mussy's fun. It's better at higher player counts.
That's tough for us because it's usually the two of us.
2-player, it's not that good. But when you play with 3 or 4, it's a lot better. And I got the expansion pack, and it's in that box. I have no idea. I have not played the expansion pack yet, but it's a good game. It's solid. It's kind of a different take on the I cut you choose
Oh, I love
mechanic,
that.
because instead of I cut you choose, I see both cards. I decide which one I'm going to put face up for you to see and which one I'm going to keep face down so you don't see, and then I slide them to you, and then you have to pick whether you take the card you can't see or the card you can see, and it stays in that position. You can look at what you have. If you choose the down card, You choose it, you look at it, and you got to keep it face down because it could score differently based on face up, face down, or based on what other cards you can see. So it could be like you get a point for every red card you have. Well, I don't have any red cards, so I'm going to put it face down. So maybe you think, ooh, maybe once that card you take it, I'm like, haha, I don't have any red cards. But if I know you have a bunch, oh, do I want you to have that card? It's like I said, it's a different, interesting take on the I cut you choose mechanic, but it is a lot better at the higher player count. 2, just not as much fun. My son, I played it a couple times, and I was like, this isn't a great game. But I took it to the office. We had 4 of us. And we're like, whoa, this game is great. So
That's good to know.
yeah.
Have you played Hanamakoji?
I don't even know what that one is. I've never heard of that one.
It is a 2-player only like deduction game, kind of, but it also is area majority. So you're trying to compete. There's like 3 cards that have a value of 2. There's 2 cards that have a value of 3. There's a 4 and a 5 card, and you have cards in your hand, and you are trying to play different cards of different numbers and suits to gain majority. But you have 4 possible actions. And those actions involve cutting and choosing and giving the person across from you an opportunity to select what cards they want. And so there's mind games in there too. And we've played this a lot, and my partner cannot beat me at this game almost at any point anymore. I don't know what it is. She won like 7 games in a row, and then I don't think I've lost since. It's very, very fun. It's a small box game. I originally bought it from Deepwater Games, but I don't know if they have that in their collection anymore. There's a reskin of it called Jixia Academy. It's very like anime-esque. It's really good.
Nice. I'll have to look into that one. How about a hidden gem game? A game that you don't think gets enough credit?
I think this game, I don't know when this game came out, but I've never seen anybody post about it. It's called Codex Naturalis. It is beautiful. It's a very small square box game. It basically is a cards playing game. So you are drafting and playing cards out, placing them, patchworking them to meet certain objectives. There's public objectives and there's private objectives, and you get points as you are putting cards down and overlapping certain cards. It's beautiful. It's got like gold foil on the cards. My partner is much better at it than I am. That is a game she can always go for a win, but it's really, really fun. It's a small game. The cards are really small. They're not poker sized. They're like those micro, mini cards. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's really, really good. It's really solid. I think it came out a couple years ago.
No, I've never heard of it. They'll put the Board Game Geek link to that in the show notes for sure. No, I've never heard that one. Those are the games that the people, when they mention the hidden gem games, those are what is mainly sitting on my shelf of shame right now. Are all the games that people are like, oh, not enough people know about this game. I'm like, well, now that I know about it, I feel like I have to go get it.
Yeah.
And that's what's showing up more and more in my mail is the games that I have to go track down off eBay or something because they're not
that you ordered them. You definitely didn't order those games. They just happened to show up.
They fell off the truck. I always tell my wife, I could, like you said, I could be addicted to a lot more dangerous things than board games.
Absolutely.
That's I always say, at least I'm not addicted to drugs, but she's like, well, drugs wouldn't take up so much room in the house, and I'm like, well,
that is our issue. It's like it's space. We have I'm a reader, so books take up space.
Oh yeah.
And I have like probably 100 books on my shelf that need to be read. I just keep buying them. I don't know why. I just keep doing it. It's probably more than 100. I think I'm being really nice to myself there. And lots of board games, but it's like, you know what? Again, it could be worse. So,
do you know how many games on your shelf is shame? How many games you have that you haven't played yet?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. 30, maybe 25, 30. And I probably have like 150-ish games.
So you're hitting the 20% mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
the problem is you keep buying things. I keep buying things,
All you have to do is play 1 in 5. And then you can buy 5 games. You have to keep playing one of them. So you maintain that 20%. Because that's about where I'm at. It's about 20%. I got about 50 games I haven't played. My collection is about 250. And then another past guest, she has like 750 games or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she has like 150 she hasn't played. And so we decided that 20% seems about right. So when you said you had 30 unplayed and about 150, I'm like, that's about 20%. You're
I
hitting your.
think, yeah. And I think I would keep a lot more games if I had the space. Like if we had a big game room, I wouldn't cull as often as I do.
So yeah, I just bought a new set of shelves. I sent you the picture. It's still unbuilt.
Yep.
And so my son and I are going to actually build that, and it's going to be the physical shelf exchange. We're going to put all the games we've never played on that shelf, and the goal is to empty the shelf.
I feel like that's a really smart idea. I actually kind of want to do that. I feel like I should.
Yeah, yeah. And then you said that you kept finding calyxes online, like for sale for cheap. And then 2 days later, my wife, one of our neighbors, put one in the alley, and we didn't get to it in time. Somebody else already took it, and I was like, "No! Oh, I would have loved a calyx."
They're hot commodities. I was waiting for a long time because I wanted a new one for my bookshelf for my bedroom because my old one was getting kind of rickety. And I was like, I know they max the shelves in the house. So I was looking, and there's a ton of them that come up. If you live near a city, like I live near Boston, but I don't want to be driving into Boston, double parked on some road, taking a calyx shelf already built down a 3-story walk up. So I'm looking for something that's like a little bit closer to home. And as soon as I find it, I jump right on it. I'm like, I'll be there in 2 hours. Like literally, I, messaged this girl and she got back to me that night. And I was like, I will be there tomorrow at 10 a.m. to get that. Do not sell it to someone else. I'll pay $100 for it. Because it's put together.
Yeah,
Put it together. I don't have to go into IKEA. So it's like, the closest IKEA to me is an hour and a half away, which is pretty good. Some people it's, a whole day trip.
mine's about 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, so you're in a you're in a better position, but then you got to pay full price for it. So
Well, I'm telling you that one bright room is the collection Target has, which is basically like a knockoff calyx. That's the one I haven't built yet. It's in my first floor. I need to. My son and I are gonna probably build it this weekend, and we're gonna fill it with all the games we never played. But we're not gonna tell the wife that's what those games are. No, these
see,
are just random games we've chosen from all over the house, and they're on this shelf.
we I take the shrink. I take the shrink off of games when I play them typically. So if a lot of games that we haven't played still are in shrink. And I do that because sometimes I end up reselling them.
Yeah.
But so that's how I tell if I've never played the game before. I'm like, that's got plastic wrap on it. It needs to come off the shelf now.
Oh man, no, I understand, and yeah. The other thing though, I gotta say, the start of the pandemic was not good to my wallet because everybody watched the Marie Kondo. If it doesn't give you joy, get rid of it. And so all the consignment shops got full of games. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all these people were getting rid of all these board games, and I picked up a lot of them. A lot of harder to find games or games I've really been looking for pretty decent prices um, early on in the pandemic. And I'm like, now I got all these games I haven't played just sitting around. I'm like, well, but I only paid like $5 for it.
I know, and that's the thing. Like I'll pick up used games too. I mean, we go to a local convention here only like once a year, and they do like a silent auction or an online auction. And I've sold a bunch of games, and I've bought a bunch of games there for cheap. I got Root in shrink for $25. Do I think that I'm going to play Root? Probably not, but I did get it for $25. It seemed like a really good deal, you know.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting is I picked up at Geekway a game I've really been looking for a long time. Mystery of the Abbey was a hidden gem game from a past guest on the show, and it's been so hard to find. And I've been stalking it on eBay, and I've been trying really hard to get it for like under $50. And this guy had it at flea market there at Geekway, $35. I'm like, sold.
It's nice when you get that.
But my buddy's like, you can haggle. I'm like, nope, I want it now. Now I haven't played it yet. Still, but I know right where it is. It's in my board game backpack. Just haven't had time to play because you need three. You need three players. So my son's all about it. It's just trying to talk the wife into playing so we can get that third player.
Yeah. I would say I honestly at this point don't buy a game if it can't play at 2 or doesn't play well at 2. And it's like we do play at 4 fairly often, probably once a month, but most of our plays are coming at 2, and so I'm not even buying a game that doesn't play at 2 anymore, because it's just not going to get enough play.
Well, but if you know that, and save your money and buy something else. Buy a different game that plays at 2 players.
Exactly.
You don't save the money. You just spend it on a different
on something else.
That's exactly it. Just spend it on something else. Well, Krista, I really want to thank you for being on the show today. I'm going to put a link in the show note to the Board Game Revolution Committee. I encourage all of you guys to join it. You said you just celebrated over 50,000 members on this board game page. So that is awesome.
Yeah, that's right. We had a big celebration for it. So if you guys aren't in the group, feel free to join. Hopefully when we hit our next milestone, we did a bunch of giveaways, a bunch of contests, gave out, I think, like 30 games, from publishers that donated things. So
I thought you were going to say cellophane wrapped ones from your collection.
Unfortunately, I was not eligible to win any of those games. I wish that I could have. And it would still be in shrink wrap on my shelf. You're completely correct.
So if anybody want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Come find me on the Board Game Revolution community Facebook. I'm a moderator there. Come there. I don't really follow like my Twitter. I don't have like a board game Instagram or anything like that, but feel free to come and join. You can tag me, and we can have a conversation.
Awesome. And as usual, if you guys reach out to me, it's facebook.com/groups/eatlunchandboardgame. Website's eatlunchandboardgame.com. And email is eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com. And remember, board games build dreams. When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.